not even live yet. There we go. The State of Football Part 55. You can't contain us. You can't stop us. You can't hold us down. We're back for more. It's a Football Friday. RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella, tell it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft. Everything football, along with my co-host, sidekick, and amigo, John Murphy, down in New Orleans, VP player personnel for the Toronto Argonauts. And we got Big Law back with us for a Football Friday, 7 Cities Shop Talk down there in the VA, always representing. And we've got some ACC games on the tap. We've got some SEC that we're going to talk about. We've got our NFL selections. We'll go around the horn and talk about some key matchups. Oh, by the way, we've got the NFL Draft Tailgate Show tomorrow, which will strictly be college football, but with the NFL Draft slant. Of course, NFLDraftBible.com is crushing it right now with the virtual draft guide. Make sure you log on, go all access there. Get a free copy of Neil Stratton's book, Scout Speak, and we are donating 50% of all sales to the Red Cross Delta Hurricane Relief. So get on that. Of course, tonight, Friday Night Scout School, going to break down some wide receivers, college film, and David Turner, Ryan Roberts holding it down there. And Baldy's Breakdown Defensive Seminar is just about 12 days away. We got some breaking news on the COVID situation. Looks like the Colts now are closing down facilities. Multiple persons, we don't know if it's staff, players, multiple persons have tested positive. We will continue to monitor that situation throughout the show and talk about it. But, oh, by the way, we had some breaking news that the mainstream media like to take away and piggyback and gallop on into the sunset with our guy John Murphy here telling you Le'Veon Bell going to sign, or the Chiefs were the front runner, and we saw them get the deal done now, Murph. He felt like this was the best chance for him to win a championship. And you know what? Anytime you can be part of a championship team, you go there, be a good soldier, hit the offseason. Maybe, just maybe, there's a team willing to give Le'Veon Bell another payday after the year.
Right. So what we mentioned with it was he wanted the best fit for what's my role, what's my situation, what am I going to be doing? Interestingly enough, as you heard yesterday from us and then others who probably were tuning in, the 3 finalists happened to coincidentally be the next 3 teams on the Jets schedule. So the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Miami Dolphins. Now, you asked the question yesterday, would anybody go as far as to offer more than a 1-year deal? Miami Dolphins trying to invest early, which would have been a good idea, right? Could have got him in the mix with, Tua down the stretch and then had the 2 of them the offseason and working toward the future. Is there a way for Le'Veon Bell to play his way into staying with the Chiefs? Financially, probably not. But again, the bridge idea of getting him to somebody that's why the first thing that came to my mind was Tom Brady. But if not Tom Brady, Andy Reid, is if you can impress upon them that, hey, I was in a bad situation. I may have done some things that are out of character with the Jets. But hey, look, it was the Jets. A lot of people may just hit the reset button and allow Le'Veon, who his teammates aren't happy he's gone. The strength and conditioning staff said he showed up in the best shape, they've ever seen him in, with the Jets when he showed up for training camp this year. You go to Kansas City, mind your own business. You'll probably tweet or say something you shouldn't say when you play the Jets, especially if you score a touchdown, or do something. So you might want to kind of keep that in check. But I think for the Chiefs, who lost the game last week to the Raiders, they haven't looked as much like the dominant Chiefs as we saw last year. Adding Le'Veon Bell for the stretch drive and in the playoffs, that's a little bit of a game changer. If we start seeing in the coming weeks, you won't see him against the Bills, but in the coming weeks, if we start seeing Le'Veon Bell look anything like Le'Veon Bell has looked, the one thing the Chiefs have not done is, Hilaire's touchdown is as a receiver, not as a running back. And you do have a way to use a weapon like Le'Veon Bell in that offense. Man, shotgun with the weapons they have and him in the backfield, or Hilaire in the backfield, him lined up outside. You're causing some more issues for a team that already knows how to score points. and now you're giving them another dynamic and another serious weapon that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, like you said yesterday, the rich are getting richer here, and you hear some chatter that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is struggling to pick up the offense a little bit, some blown assignments on running routes and blocking assignments. So we'll continue to monitor that. But Big Law, defending champions, add Le'Veon Bell. Are they now still, the first couple of weeks, they didn't look like – I have my NFL power rankings for you today. The Chiefs were not at the top. That was before the Le'Veon Bell signing. Are they now still the team to topple?
I think they're still the team to topple as long as you have Mr. Ferrari Pat Mahomes himself at the helm. I think if you add a person like Le'Veon Bell, number one, I think Le'Veon Bell is trying to reset everything, like John was saying, so that it's almost like pre-Jets back to the Pittsburgh Le'Veon Bell, where he was running routes consistently. You had him running between the tackles patiently. A mature team. I think that it's a great spot for him to land. I almost had visions of him going to the Pats, similar to Corey Dillon, where you had like a troubled running back who just needed a different environment and needed a different team to play for. And I just see him going to a coach that really knows how to use him, first of all. And once you get a coach that knows how to use your skill set, I think you'll see him come back out as the Le'Veon Bell that got the 99 rating on Madden.
99 problems. Hey, we got Big Law, we got John Murphy, we got Ric Serritella here chopping it up, the state of football. Shout out to all our chat room peoples, DC and a place to be. I see you, brother. Hey, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope. Get down on it. Join the chat room. Weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern, the state of football. Your new home for real football talk in the mornings. Big shout out to everybody who joined us for the HBCU Spotlight Show hosted by Ryan Roberts last night. Some of you might have been watching the Presidents. I was watching the HBCU Spotlight Show. So we have that on the YouTube archives if you want to know who the top NFL prospects are from the HBCUs. Ryan had an all-star panel, so big shout out to him. We're moving and grooving here. I think there's some soap in my coffee cup here, but it's all good. We're gonna keep it moving and keep it grooving here on the football. Let's chop it up and go over to college football. We'll kick it off with the game of the week. I don't care if you're talking college, NFL, or whatever. The Georgia Bulldogs ranked number 3 in the country, traveling into Alabama, minus their coach, number 2 in the nation, John. And is this a built-in excuse now if Alabama does indeed lose without Nick Saban on the sidelines? Is it kind of an excuse if they do lose to keep them in that college football playoff contention?
Well, I think the interesting thing here is here's Georgia, and if you had told them they would be undefeated and playing Alabama, those are two things that they would have definitely signed up for and believed was a possibility this season. What they would not have believed is it's not with Newman. No Seinfeld reference. Not Newman at quarterback. Not JT Daniels, but Stetson Bennett quickly becoming a household name for Georgia Bulldog fans. And if he were to pull this off, they're not going to mind, who is in charge of Alabama this weekend. And it likely would be Steve Sarkisian, with the headset on, there for Alabama. But Stetson Bennett has done a lot of nice things thus far. He's running the game, being the game manager. They have a good run game. And Georgia is the one team pretty much in major college football we've seen thus far that's playing old school, run the ball, get some pass, in the mix, but playing really solid defense. Now you have to defend the three-headed monster that Alabama has, who are still running the ball as effectively as they've done. Well, the last time we saw a major matchup between Georgia and Alabama, a backup quarterback came in for Alabama and won the game. This week, Georgia will be facing Alabama with their backup coach, and likely a similar scenario will take place, which is starting quarterback, backup quarterback, starting head coach, backup head coach. Alabama still wins. I still think, the firepower there, this is the one matchup we've seen thus far, and hopefully we'll get a few others, where there is a team playing real defensive football, not giving up 40 a game. So if Texas and Oklahoma, if you're free and you're available to watch this weekend, take a look at what these teams are doing and figure it out. Bo Pelini might want to check in on some of the schemes and how you're playing, over the top defense the way that Georgia and Alabama are, thus far. But Georgia is the one team that's playing really good team defensive football, and they have Jonathan Davis up front. And whenever he declares for the draft, he's a first-round pick as a D tackle, and their young secondary is playing extraordinary, but they will face the biggest test they've seen thus far, because you get Smith, Waddle, and the Canadian kid Mechie coming at you. They're coming at you in waves. That's the one thing Alabama now has. They're not just dinking and dunking. You got a quick strike down the field offense to go along with Najee Harris. You got some problems there. So I don't think it's a shootout. I think Georgia will play good defense in this. I just think the combination of the guys that Alabama has, and you know what? Steve Sarkisian with a chance to coach it, and those guys knowing that Nick Saban is not there, almost is going to give Alabama extra motivation for themselves to be like, hey, look how good we are. And you play with a little chip on your shoulder that you don't have Nick there, and you're also playing with a little bit of that chip of, like, let's do it for him, in that scenario. So I think Alabama comes out with a big win, but this should be as good a game as advertised, you would hope, because the next one on the schedule is Notre Dame Clemson, and we're not sure both of them are going to get there undefeated.
Yeah, Big Sark back in the saddle. Good to see him back and get another chance there. So I actually think Georgia's defense is better than Alabama's from what I've seen. And despite that, it's a coin toss game. But I do think Alabama has too much ammunition, too much firepower, too many weapons. And I think they'll get the job done. But, I still believe this game could go any way. And it's going to have major, major ramifications in terms of when that college football playoff seedings come out, because this is where, Georgia's been so close, right? Trying to knock off Alabama. I guess this doesn't count as a Saban win over his disciple, so we'll see how that works out. But hey, talking about college football playoff picture, those North Carolina Tar Heels got the job done last week against Virginia Tech, Big Law. I know Virginia Tech was playing shorthanded, still, kind of lingered in there, hung around to the end, but I think North Carolina kind of controlled that game out of the gate and showed what kind of team they are. Now, this is, somewhat of a trap game because Florida State is playing so poorly that it's kind of easy to overlook the Seminoles. It's almost like a bye week. They've been playing so bad. So how do you see this North Carolina-Florida State matchup?
Yeah, I see UNC really just going in and continuing to run the ball. Finally, Sam Howell got on track. He's kind of been playing Sam Howell-like for the first 2 games. Now I think he's finally got a little bit more of a rhythm. I think that comes from having a little bit more of a consistent run game from Michael Carter. And as Michael Carter had a great game, 214 yards, 17 carries, a phenomenal run at the end of the game, to pull away from Virginia Tech with 2 touchdowns. I think Sam Howell is going to kind of show why he's was regarded to be one of the top draft picks in the upcoming drafts. Also, you think about UNC also having one of the top offenses. They're the top team in the ACC in total offense. I don't see FSU doing anything to stop any of that. Right now, they're 1-3, which is so un-FSU-like from what we've seen in the past from this squad. I reckon, you guys will tell me better, they have the stars. They have the tenured or the athletes with the fanfare, with all the, everything that they talk about Florida State having 3, 4, and 5 stars all over the place. I don't know why it's not clicking as much as it usually would for this program. All I have to do is look to coaching. Typically, if you can have talented guys on your staff or on your team, it'll show out on the field. To me, it's not showing out. I don't see the pass rush from Florida State, which is what they're known for, the athletic defensive backs. I mean, they have some, I reckon, but they just aren't flashing to me. And the offense, with Jordan Travis, he had a decent game last week against Notre Dame, but, still took a hard L, 41-27. Or excuse me, still took a hard L from Notre Dame. I just don't see them stepping up and playing at the level that UNC is right now. Mac Brown's back, man. What they say, return of the Mac, Mac is doing his thing.
No doubt about it. It's impressive how quickly he's kind of rejuvenated that Tar Heel team. And the only positive we could say about Florida State, we mentioned in the scouting notebook, Scouting the Nation on NFL Draft Bible, Marvin Wilson for the Seminoles. I mean, he's playing like a potential top 10 pick. He came back for his senior season when he could have been, probably a first rounder last year. Now you see he took his draft stock from a borderline first round guy, I think, into the top half of the first round. And that draft process could maybe even put him right into the top 10. And who knows, maybe he gets a Senior Bowl invite. And we saw Spencer Brown, shout out to him, get a Senior Bowl invite this morning. So Jim Nagy inviting 2 small school offensive linemen along with the North Dakota State Reduns. And so that was good to see. North Carolina, though, I think they have the best backfield in the nation. I mean, the way these guys, Carter and Javonta, I mean, the way these 2 guys are running, I think they're each going to gain 1,000 yards. And then you got Daz Newsome over there who can stretch the field. Mm-hmm. So I think North Carolina gets up early. They get up really early and just blow this team out of the water. And at some point, Florida State, I mean, they had 30 players on NFL Week 1 rosters. So the talent's there. It's like you said, Big Law, it's the coaching. And last time I checked, there's a pretty good coach out there at the Omaha Beef, Florida State Hall of Fame legend, Marvin Jones. I mean, he should be on speed dial, honestly. I mean, wow. He's ready. So I agree. UNC takes this one easy. Sticking in that ACC, John, we've got Clemson, number 1 in the nation, traveling into Georgia Tech. And I'll tell you what, man, every time I count Jeff Collins out, man, he comes up with a big upset win every now and then. And he's got, quite a few already this season with the Yellow Jackets. They've, moved away from that Paul Johnson offense. And they got a good-looking quarterback now there in Sims, a young kid that's still making mistakes, learning on the fly. But you got to like the flashes and the glimpses that you've seen out of him so far. Any shot Georgia Tech at home can keep this competitive?
I got Georgia Tech winning.
Get out of town.
The coin toss. The coin toss.
The coin toss, yeah.
The coin toss.
Okay.
I got Georgia Tech winning the first quarter.
Well, that's pretty good.
0-0. Because that's a win. If the first quarter is 0-0, that's a win. Because you gotta just kind of figure out a way to get these teams like where Clemson is at. You gotta lull them into these games that you're either gonna have a shooting match with them, like Missouri last week with LSU, right? You got firepower, they have firepower. Last one with the ball, you got a chance to win. So if you're Missouri, you'd rather lose an SEC game 45-41 or be in a shooting match like that, right? Vanderbilt week 1 at home against Texas A&M. What was that, 15-12? Something 12-7, kind of game, most of the way. How can Georgia Tech best manipulate their way into a game where it's an actual game? You got to slow this pace down. And by the factor that they don't have the kind of gimmick offense, it's easier for Clemson with their wave of talent. I mean, their backups, are first-round picks, right? They have 2 freshman D linemen who could be talked about as first-round picks when their draft class comes up. And that's to go along with everyone else that they already have. So I think there's too many weapons there for you to try to get in a shooting match with a young quarterback. What Coach Collins and his group have to do, they've played good football early, right? It is Georgia Tech with a young team, and they played a Florida State team where that was the one time Florida State had a chance to have their season get on track early, knowing they were going to play Notre Dame and Miami. They had to get that Georgia Tech win, and they didn't, right? So here, I think it's, again, we talked about it last week when Miami's playing Clemson, and the last two games were 96-3 combined. Okay, you saw a little bit of improvement, not enough to get excited yet if you're a University of Miami fan. If you're Georgia Tech, I think you have to look at how does Jeff Sims play in this environment against the best team, against the best defense he's going to face. You can get, 14, 2-3 scores on the board in this game and keep it be a manageable 35-17, something where it's not a 40, point blowout. I know no one's in this for getting, sort of into that thing of saying, well, hey, at least we didn't get blown out. But I think that's a real strength for Georgia Tech moving in the right direction to say this game is a controllable game, not one that's just, 48-3, see you later. And if you want to know everything that's wrong with Florida State, you just mentioned UNC. And yes, they are on the right track with Mac Brown. But who did Sam Howell originally commit to? Florida State. Ends up at North Carolina. So I said it week 2, said it again a few weeks ago. The number one person that will be responsible for Florida State turning it back around is David Johnson. Look him up. See why they hired him away from Tennessee. Look where Tennessee is ranked right now, not just on the field. Look at where Tennessee's recruiting class is ranked for next year. And look who the person was primarily responsible for the last couple of recruiting classes, David Johnson. That's going to be a key because when you bring your guy in, as we see in the baseball playoffs, you bring in your closer, he better shut the door. He better not leave it open, and he better not be letting guys get down the road in your own conference. Because if you're Florida State and you have Sam Howell in the building and he's committed to you and he decommits and goes to North Carolina, not to play basketball, to play football, yeah, you're not anywhere near where you need to be as a program at Florida State losing a guy to North Carolina. Because one thing that does not happen, North Carolina basketball is not losing a star recruit to Florida State basketball. And if they do, somebody's getting fired. Actually, a whole lot of people are getting fired. So I think that is a key part of Coach Norvell's staff is that he hired David Johnson away from Tennessee. And you look at what he's done everywhere he's been, it's recruiting and closing big recruits. That's what they have to do. You have to get a better guy than Jordan Travis or James Blackburn. No disrespect. You have to have a better quarterback than those guys. And you got to have outside pass. How you do not have quality outside pass rushers when you got a guy like Marvin Wilson playing in the middle? I mean, the three of us could generate a pass rush playing with that guy. So it's unbelievable to say that you just don't have those kind of difference makers that you've had. Tamarian Terry did a really nice job. He's, if healthy, he's gotten his career back on path and could end up being, a higher rated receiver in the next 2 drafts. But otherwise, it's suspect. They don't have a lot of the true guys that they were able to get, 10 and 20 years ago. But hey, the good news is Notre Dame's gone through it. LSU's gone through it. University of Miami's gone through it. UCLA is still going through it. There is a chance to rebound, but like I said, you can't lose Sam Howell right up the road and now watch him lead his team possibly to the playoffs.
Well, they're going to watch him lead a North Carolina team to victory, that's for sure. Clemson, Georgia Tech, 52-14 was the score there last year. I think if Georgia Tech can somehow lose by 20 instead of 40, I think that's a win. All right, last college game we're going to preview today, and then, of course, NFL Draft Tailgate Show tomorrow. We've got about 10 games on the docket that we'll cover and preview and talk NFL draft prospects. But Boston College traveling into Virginia Tech, we mentioned it, Big Law. They played shorthanded. Bronco Mendenhall has really built something special there. But I'm looking at Jeff Hafley, and I'm saying there's something special brewing in Boston College. They got the upset victory against Pittsburgh last week. And I'll tell you what, this spread attack, this high-flying Boston College offense that you never thought you'd see being run in Chestnut Hill, suddenly, I mean, I think they've got a fighter's chance. In fact, I'm putting Virginia Tech on upset alert this week.
Wow, that's big time, bro. I mean, I
don't
get
think
it.
so.
They're I guess the new Boston College persona. The way that they're running, they usually are. You're from where you're from, the northern Boston. Bad weather. Let's run you into the ground, kind of an offense with Mr. Dillon for all those years, and I really see, a total change, and this is where college football is going with the high-flying, acrobatic passing attacks with all the points. But I still feel that Virginia Tech and Coach Fuente doing his thing. Herbert, who has really surprised the ACC with all the amount of yards that he's able to rush for, per game. I mean, this guy is doing his thing. They're rushing for right around 300 yards a game. He's accounting for at least 150 yards a game for that. And then, you think about the pass rush that Virginia Tech has. So they have two of the major elements going for them that I think Boston College does. I know Boston College, they're 3-1, and Phil, I think it's Jerkovic, Jerkovic, has had a couple 300-yard game last game, but I just don't see them pulling it off against this talented rushing attack that Virginia Tech has. Virginia Tech is, believe it or not, is the top offensive team in the ACC. It's just interesting to see Fuente totally turn that team, Virginia Tech, meaning into, to turn them around from where they were before. They had a quarterback, they used to throw it around a little bit, but getting back to their roots, running the ball, rushing the passer, steady, if not spectacular. I said it before, special teams. Virginia Tech, they're coming back. They're playing tough. And I'm interested to see how this game goes. But that is a really interesting upset alert. But I can't go with you on that. I'm going 35-25 VT.
All right. Well, I'm just telling you, speaking of Florida State missing out, Mr. Zay Flowers, a name you guys will definitely know after this weekend if you don't already. Zay Flowers, Boston College. Hunter Long gets all the hype. Zay Flowers is the straw that stirs the drink over there at Boston College. I'm going BC victory, and we'll come back next week to talk about it. I'll save my ribbing for Friday for Big Law. I'll make sure to save it for when he joins us again. This is the State of Football Morning Talk Show. It's weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. It's your new home for real football talk in the morning. We've been doing this here now since 2002. It's what we do. So we appreciate all the love and support through all the years. The NFL Draft Bible publication virtual edition is now available. You can go to NFLDraftBible.com. Check it out. You'll also get a free copy of Scout Speak if you sign up for the All Access. And we are also donating 50% of all sales this week through today to the Hurricane Delta Red Cross relief efforts. So we appreciate all the love and support. We appreciate everyone who has subscribed throughout the years. And if you're not a disciple of the NFL Draft Bible and you're into the NFL Draft, well, you're just missing out. All right. Friday night Scout School. We are going to talk about wide receivers tonight with David Turner and Ryan Roberts. And oh, by the way, I've got a power rankings for you guys that you're going to enjoy thoroughly. So let me get into that before we get into our NFL previews. I'm going to go real quickly here. I did my top 10, and I want you this is this disclaimer. It's not the best team today. It's the best team for the next 3 months, okay? So it's not the best team today. I'm not overreacting to what I saw the first 4 weeks of the season because there's going to be a lot of changes, okay? So, number 11, I'll go on the outside looking in are the New Orleans Saints. I'm worried about their chemistry right now. I'm worried about their mojo. I'm worried about everything in New Orleans. Drew Brees' fastball, he didn't just lose a couple miles per hour. I mean, he lost a lot off of that fastball. So they're on the outside looking in. I've got New England at 10. They're still in the mix, okay? My Las Vegas Raiders are sitting at number 9, okay? I'm telling you, I'm still a believer. They got beat up a little bit by injuries, but I got the Raiders at 9. I've got the Ravens at 8. People say, hey, why so low? Well, until Lamar Jackson can win a big game, I'm not putting Baltimore nowhere near the top. This guy is one and done in the playoffs every year. He got shellacked by Mahomes already earlier this year. Lamar Jackson, until you show it to me, I'm not putting the Ravens anywhere near the list of top contenders. I've got the Seahawks at 7. Again, why so low? There's holes all over that defense. All over the defense. Holes. Number 6, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I believe they have the best pass rush in the NFL. Baker Mayfield's going to be running for his life this week against those Steelers. At number 5, I'm still keeping them alive. My Arizona Cardinals, okay, they've actually catapulted up in my rankings because I didn't even have them in the top 5 before the season started. Arizona's going to do some big things. Believe me when I tell you, San Fran, stick a fork in them. They're done. San Fran's done. Arizona is a better team than the Seahawks. I don't know when they play next. You're going to see that. All right, number 4, I have the Green Bay Packers. Okay, and you say, wow, they're undefeated. Who do you have ahead of them? I've got the Tampa Bay Bucks at number 3 because, again, it's not what you see today. It's what you see in January, and I'm still a believer in the Bucks. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. I'm not going to overreact to the beginning of the season. I've got Tampa Bay at number 3. Number 2, I talked about it, the Kansas City Chiefs. They were number 2 before the Le'Veon Bell signing. They're number 2 still with the Le'Veon Bell signing. It's not as mystical magical as last year in Kansas City because you know why? There's a hungry team. I saw beasts on the field. I saw hungry dogs on the field. And the Tennessee Titans are the best team in the NFL. I'm telling you right now, that's a team on the mission. Tennessee Titans, my number 1 ranked team. And, you know, the COVID extreme. And I'll tell you this, I saw some fool on NFL.com talk about St. Louis Rams. LA Rams are the best team in football, and they're not even in my top 10. So any thoughts or reactions, John, before we jump into our NFL previews?
Well, a lot of veteran quarterbacks there. So if Tannehill ends up on the top of that list, that certainly will bode well, for the Tennessee Titans. Oh, how the poor Ralph Ventries have fallen so quickly. They lost on Monday.
I'm not a believer.
You got Ralph not even in the top 10. He's not even honorable mention. So we'll see we'll see what Ralph has to say on Monday about not even making the top 10 and not even honorable mention.
Well,
in that group. But now here we have those couple of these teams starting with the schedule to match up with each other. Packers, and the Bucks. Can Seattle keep winning? When the rest of the division has some issues with injuries and losing guys. Well, they've been playing without some of their guys. So have the Seahawks figured out how to play without some of their best guys? The Niners clearly haven't. Arizona has to start learning how to form a pass rush without Chandler Jones now. Now, are they active before the trade deadline? Because that might be a team that is a Ryan Kerrigan, Carlos Dunlap trade away from putting themselves right back to where you've had them this whole time. So it'll be real interesting to see if some of those teams that are in that mix, can they do something between now and the trade deadline to give themselves a better chance than where maybe you have them right now?
And I'll tell you something else, Big Law, Tannehill, don't knock him just yet because people don't realize over the last 14 games, this guy has, I think, more passing yards, more touchdowns, and fewer interceptions than your boy Pat Mahomes. I'm just saying.
I get it. I understand. Right now, they're the hot chick. They're the hot chick, okay, in the club until the lights come on. And I kind of look at Ryan Tannehill as you guys watch the Smurfs. There was a Smurf called Jokey Smurf. He would hand you a gift and it would say, it's a surprise. And then it will blow up in your hands. I'm waiting for Jokey Smurf, a.k.a. Ryan Tannehill, to show up. And what about that Arizona pick? You said you had him number 5?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. All right, you got coming up.
Yeah.
You got coming up the Cowboys, Seahawks, Miami, which played out of their mind,
Reno.
Buffalo. Yeah, so
They're going to go undefeated against all those teams.
Oh, you know what? I will have to fly it up there, take you to the best steakhouse in your town, brother. If they go undefeated with that, you got that one.
All right. Hey, I'm going to hold you to it. We'll be back here on the State of Football to talk about it. All right, NFL rapid fire style, guys. Let's kick it off with that Green Bay at Tampa Bay game. John, you already know the cat's out of the hat with my pick, but Green Bay on the road to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so now here we go. Tampa at home. This is their second big matchup, of the season. Losing week 1, but that seemingly kind of kicked them into high gear. Now, the biggest thing for Brady is, first thing is, know the down and distance. I know that sounds funny after 20 whatever years. Know you're down in distance because this might be a shootout, and you might need that at the end of the game. And I think that the big matchup here is that's where you've seen Tampa Bay be vulnerable, is in that secondary and versus a really good pass rush. So now, how often are we going to see the Packers pass rushers in the backfield hanging around Brady? Because he didn't quite like it too much against the Bears, and it didn't turn out great. So whereas everybody's focusing in on this possibly being a shootout, we might get a little less of that shootout if both of these teams don't handle what the other team does well. So that's kind of, to me, where Tampa Bay could have an issue in this game, is that Green Bay has an equally efficient pass rusher and pass rush as the Bears. And you have two of them. And where they've been vulnerable is on the outside. As Donovan Smith has not looked like, he might have wanted to opt out. And at times, he looked like he wanted to opt out of the season during the game against Khalil Mack. And you saw Brady, kind of responding to his offensive line in not the most proactive way of all time at times during that Bears game. I want to see how that plays out, here, this week against the Packers. And what the Packers have been able to do. If you're able to run the ball, which will be interesting, no Vita Vea in the mix for Tampa, and you have those, the threat going downfield against Carlton Davis, who has been susceptible to some plays there, I'm kind of leaning in the other direction here now, and saying here's an opportunity, for the Packers after the Bears go and beat the Bucs. The Packers need to stay on track to stay ahead of the worst 4-1 team we've ever seen in the Chicago Bears, but they're still 4-1 with no quarterback play and very little offense going. I got the Packers in a squeaker, but the most important part of this is, for the long term of the success of the Bucs, you got to start showing something different against premier pass rushers and not look as overmatched as you do. Because if not, you have to dress, or you got to put a different back in the backfield. Ronald Jones can do a lot of things, but if you're letting your quarterback, and it's Tom Brady, just get smushed, at some point, you don't have changes at left tackle. I mean, you don't have a guy. He's your left tackle. You can't get run through the way they did against the Bears, and they didn't have an answer for just Khalil Mack. What are the answers for going against a team that has multiple pass rushers? That's, to me, where the weak point of this game is. I think that's where the Packers have a chance to win. 1 or 2 turnovers because of the pass rush. That's all Aaron Rodgers needs to put points on the board.
Well, hey, I will tell you this. If you get a chance to watch this game, sit back and enjoy it. I mean, 2 first ballot Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, unbelievable. You mentioned the Bucs run game. Where's Shady McCoy? I haven't seen him. Is he on the back of a milk carton? Like, where's this guy gone? Maybe they're saving him for the playoffs, but we shall see. That's one game we disagree on. By the way, John has a 1-game lead. I think 53 wins on the season to my 52 wins. So there's one game we disagree on. Of course, we'll post our pick 'em picks on Sunday. All right, let's go over to Chicago, who John mentioned is the worst 4-1 team in football, no doubt about it. But they're there, right there in the mix. And Carolina, 3-2, suddenly 3 big wins without Christian McCaffrey, Teddy Bridgewater, and Joe Brady lighting the NFL on fire. You hear Coach Rule talk about Teddy Bridgewater has elite intelligence, and so to me, I think Carolina may have the edge here. But how do you see it, Big Law?
Well, the way I see it is, I see Carolina. They've changed their offensive identity. Sure, they've changed coaches, but before, in their heyday, they were strictly like a power run team. Had two, and they would always two platoon running back, run downhill on you. Then it changed with Christian McCaffrey to a versatile running back who can split out, and catch the ball, a la Marshall Faulk, and be just an ultimate weapon. Now they've kind of adopted the passing, short passing game, where that has become the staple of who they are. But don't let it fool you. Yes, Teddy Bridgewater is known for throwing a lot of short passes, but he's been getting the ball down the field. He's at 8 yards a pass, which for him is unheard of. And also to mention that his 2 wide receivers have been doing well at catching short and long passes. So Robbie Anderson, I think he's better than advertised, better than what you thought. They thought he was a one-trick pony, a deep threat. He's catching the ball short, running long, and just finding the zone, sitting down and catching balls. DJ Moore, of course, came out of Maryland and was looked at, their number 1 pick a couple years ago, looked at as the next kind of a Steve Smith replacement for them. He's starting to show his worth, and we know with the long catch last game. And Mike Davis, Mike Davis has been steady for them, giving them some run support, or some running in the offense to keep it balanced. But Teddy Bridgewater has been a steadying force, and Chicago is the worst 4-1 team. They are not that great at run stopping, but they will pass rush your quarterback. That's the thing you got to watch out for with this team. It's almost like you're thinking, when they changed out Trubisky for Foles, that Nick Foles is getting ready to do his Jeff Hostetler thing and take him to the promised land. I don't see it happening. He looked okay this last game, but unless he's playing Tom Brady, he's just still Nick Foles. And my
it's amazing.
24-21 Carolina.
Yeah, I'm with you. No, it's amazing. Whenever he plays Brady, it's like Foles is resurrected like the Undertaker. Surprisingly, Mike Davis is averaging 4.8 a carry. That's a whole entire yard more than what McCaffrey was gaining on the ground. And you talk about, we've mentioned Bonifant, but really, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel. I mean, talk about an underrated team. I mean, all these guys, Teddy Bridgewater, that contract's looking like a bargain. That Robbie Anderson contract looks like a bargain. And I know DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel were there before Rule got there, but I mean, he's made the most. Unbelievable. The way he resurrected Temple. He resurrected Baylor. Now he's resurrecting the Panthers. We're just going to make him a part of the NFL Draft Bible for me. Give him a priest outfit and become part of the Draft Bible and just bless him. Coach Rule, man, it's just unbelievable. And again, I mean, he should be coaching here in New Jersey, and both my Jets and the Giants just debacled it. Unbelievable. All right, I think we all agree Carolina is going to come out and suddenly, I mean, this is a game that could really decide the final wild card spot, because Carolina is a team ascending, Chicago is a team descending. All right, and surprisingly, that was one of the games of the week when we looked at it. We've also got tomorrow night, Sunday Night Football. People always like to throw some action on this one, Big Law. You've got the Chargers suddenly now 1-4, despite being competitive every game they're in it. Going into San Fran, 2-3, questions about their starting quarterback, injuries all over the place, starters on both sides of the ball. I mean, San Francisco can be had here for the taking. Can Herbert and Coach Joseph kind of get over that hump, because it's probably going to be another close game? Can they finally learn how to seal the deal?
Yeah, I look at San Francisco and I see a team that is totally spiraling down. Started with all of the injuries that they had on the defensive end, and now the offensive end. I don't see them doing anything to change their fortunes as of right now. I see Jimmy G. I mean, I can't remember the last time an anointed young starter that has had some success that has been benched, before 6 games of the year. That's almost unheard of. But Kyle Shanahan being the wizard that he is on offense, Jimmy G must be doing something horribly wrong as far as when it comes to his reads, the way he's running the offense. For Kyle Shanahan, just say, get the hell out of here. You just don't see that in the NFL. I've seen college, high school, you see that. But to pull your anointed big contract quarterback and just say, get out of here and putting in the backup, but I mean, he had 2 picks, in the first half, maybe in the first quarter, but I know it was in the first half of last game. I don't see San Francisco coming out of this tailspin. I think they're just going to continue to have a hard time. Also, got to give a shout out and a condolences to the Fred Dean family, Hall of Famer for the San Francisco 49ers. Hope things get better, and condolences to the loss. But and back to the Rams. The Rams are 4-1. The Rams, got well against one of the teams that that I follow. One of my teams, Washington. Not hard to get well against the team. They're like a toothless hyena right now. They have no bite. So Aaron Donald, pretty much the biggest weakness on the team. Aaron Donald is the best at what he does, which is pass rushing, stopping up the middle.
33 QB pressures this year. Unbelievable.
Yeah, unreal. And 4 sacks, they call that I heard somebody say that's the golden sombrero, kind of like the 4 strikeouts. He had the golden sombrero of sacks. So, I can't even say anything about that team. Looks like Jared Goff is having a rebound year, which is something that I really didn't think he was able to do. He's playing a lot better than what he was. They still need to be able to run the ball. They're not running the ball the way that they need to totally get the full effect of that offense. Remember, it's a high play action type of an offense. You got to have, you don't have to have it, but it really helps when you have a good running back, who can get 4 to 5 yards of carry, and then you can pull it and throw it over top like they like to do with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. So, I don't see San Francisco coming out of this tailspin at all. And you're right, 49ers should beat them. The Arizona Cardinals should beat the 49ers, and so should these Rams as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate the correction. It's the Rams, not the Chargers. So,
yeah.
Hey, we make mistakes, baby. We're human too here on the State of Football, live weekdays, 9 a.m. Eastern. But for me, Jared Goff is my Joker Smurf. Eventually that thing is gonna blow up in his face, and
it's a surprise.
Yeah. Eventually, when January rolls around, he'll be back on the beach surfing somewhere. Jared Goff, that is. All right. Well, hey, shout out to all our chat room people. Tony G, we're sorry for the Chicago Bears talk. Hopefully they surprise us, man. Never count out Big Nick there. DC and the place to be. All our chat room peoples. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern for the NFL Draft Tailgate Show. And now, drum roll, please. Game of the week. Surprisingly, or maybe not so, the way they've been playing, the Cleveland Browns 4-1, traveling into the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers, who have got their defense right. They've got Big Ben back at it again. They've got a heck of a 1-2 punch in the backfield. They got weapons to throw to. They got the tight end they signed in the offseason. Everything I see and say is pointing to a Steelers victory the way I see it. But John Murphy, I think you have the spectacles on and see it a different way.
Well, here's the thing with the Steelers. The last 26 games they've played, 4 more sacks, they're 11-3. Anything under that, 3-9. So here we go. Cleveland Browns O-line suddenly bouncing back with Bill Callahan, leading the league in rushing, only has given up 7 sacks, no more than 2 in any game so far this season. So we know where the game is going to be decided is right there. Now, where a team that is having the kind of success the Browns have had, the fans are currently holding their own intervention that they'd like to have happen for the Browns, which is they are actually voting and sending emails to the club to vote Andrew Zendejo off of the club. That's how bad he's played in the middle of the field. You're playing the Steelers. Where do they do most of their damage? Outside the middle of the field, down the field vertically, which is where the Browns are top 3 in the league defending passes on the outside. So Eric Ebron, if you're an Eric Ebron fantasy football holder, he might actually be a key to this game. So now, can the Steelers make use of the middle of the field, which they have not been in the passing game? Can the Browns withstand the pass rush of the Steelers enough to make some plays? And you've seen Landry throw it. We've seen Beckham throw it. But how will Baker throw it against the Steelers in a game that is as important a regular season game as now you have seen in recent memory for the Browns? Because you could knock out a lot of what's gone on, and there's been a lot of it, if you were able to put yourself in position to then have the lead over the Steelers in that division, knowing what happened when you played the Ravens, right? Because you've done all this hard work to get to the record you're at. But if you go into Pittsburgh and it ends up being Blitzburgh, and you suffer a similar consequence to when you played the Ravens week 1, you go back kind of in the penalty box area, you know, and you're in control of your own destiny for a wild card spot, but you're back to being, well, it was a nice run for the Browns. With all that being said, Browns by a field goal.
Ain't happening. Ain't happening.
More hate from these guys right here.
Wow.
Get you where you're going, Browns. Put that on there. Ric Serritella, when you're making the playoffs, you can send him a playoff ticket.
Yeah, right. You send me a brown paper bag because that's where the Browns are going in this game. I mean, let me tell you something. First of all, OBJ went home with an illness. We don't even know if he's going to play. And it doesn't even matter because here's a guy. He hasn't gained 100 yards in the past 15 games. That's how much of a factor OBJ is. Now, you've got the Browns who scored 30-plus points 4 games in a row here. That's more than they've done that in the last 2 years combined. But they're going to run into T.J. Watt. They're going to meet Mr. Bud Dupree. They're going to have a reservation for 6 in the backfield there for Mr. Baker Mayfield, who's going to be so much under pressure that he's not even going to know what team to throw it to. I've got Steelers, and I've got Steelers big. I mean, they're going to romp this team. They're going to make a statement. This is not even going to be close. And I can't wait to come back on Monday and just say, hey, how about those Steelers, man? I'll give myself a pat on the back like the Brooklyn Brawler. Big Log, chime in here with the tiebreaker.
They don't know the wrestling history if they don't know that stuff, brother. For sure. I'm looking at the 31-14 victory, and I don't see. I mean, I get it. You know, Baker Mayfield, the Cleveland hysteria. You know, they have one of the most rabid old fan bases ever in the NFL. You know, they're starting to win and they're starting to come alive. And, you know, when you're playing in a semi-elite team like the Steelers, your quarterback is everything, you know. And if you can run the ball, you have a good running game, you know, you can have decent defense, you know, you can have great receivers on the outside. But if your quarterback isn't completing passes regularly, and then also completing, you know, having some big plays down the field, you're not going to be good against elite teams or semi-elite teams like a Pittsburgh is. And then the strength of the team is where they're weak at. They cannot protect Baker Mayfield against this pass rush. I just don't see it. I'm looking at another, you know, a big one. And like I said, 31-14, similar to what the Washington team went through against the the Rams, where they just could not block anybody. I mean, I'm looking at 5-6 sacks. I know they had 8, the Rams, but I'm looking at about 5 to 6 sacks on Baker Mayfield, really getting beat up this game. And, and OBJ having another meltdown, if he's even there. 31-14, mark it down.
It's hard to see him even when he is there.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a predicament. We'll see how it all plays out on this Sunday for the game of the week, Cleveland Browns at Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't forget, we'll be back Monday to chop it all up with our guy Ralph Ventry. Tomorrow we've got the NFL Draft Tailgate Show. And, final thoughts here with the Colts situation, several individuals testing positive. So we mentioned it earlier in the week, John, this Tuesday Night Football could become a weekly thing.
Yeah, no doubt. It could. We'll see who that is. They're saying the Colts are just gonna, be outside of the facility. No mention of any change, with their game. We already have a Monday night doubleheader featuring your Cardinals. Who, we'll see how that one, plays out on Monday night. We might have a little disagreement on that game too, as the Andy Dalton era.
Hey now,
however long that era.
Hey now
takes place. Starts on Monday night. But I think, now those teams that are in these situations, we've mentioned it, the travel to and from, you're not traveling days in advance, so you're changing things up and then getting into it will be very interesting to see. First, how do the Bills respond on Monday when we see them after having what they've had go on? And now this weekend, how does Atlanta offer a day? The Colts potentially outside their building, kind of for a day. But I do know one thing. ODB did not test positive for COVID. So he will be there. And I'm just saying, you better sack. You better sack him. Because your secondary is a little suspect. You better sack him. And so far, if you want to believe somebody, you want to believe the guy that's in second place? Because he's right over there. Well, over here.
Yeah, one
he's
game.
That guy's over there.
That'll be flipped on Monday. On Monday morning, that'll all be flipped around.
Hey, he should be picking the Browns because I've never heard somebody talk so much smack by them being in second place. He should be picking the Browns after that. You're going to believe the guy that's in second. Or last week I heard it was going to be the Colts. The Colts were taking them down. Colts didn't take them down. Well, just remember, Myles Garrett, the last time Myles Garrett hit a Pittsburgh quarterback, things didn't well.
Well,
you know what the best part about this is for the NFL, all joking aside, is how good would it actually be for the Browns? Forget about all the fun and games, but how fun would it be for the NFL for the Browns to actually be good, right? Like when Ron Rivera gets the Redskins back and you're then seeing the stuff from the Joe, like when you are able to actually show things for the people that don't realize what the Browns used to be, right? When they can have the Jet fans watching stuff of Joe Namath and not just looking at Joe Namath as the only success, but that the Jets are in the playoffs, the Jets are in that situation. Hey, remember those couple of Jet playoff games in the past 10 or 12 years and what that meant to the NFL in terms of when you have a fan base that is beat to death, have a revival to the point where they're actually all sitting there excited to play a game in this type of scenario. And you're talking about the last time they were 5-1 is what, 1999, a time that's long ago and far away, right? And the last time that this team, the Browns, were able to be playing a game like this, they had this young coach that was a defensive genius that had left this guy side in New York. Remember that guy? Remember who was that guy that was coaching the Browns when the last
pretty good staff. Pretty good staff there too.
5-1. What was that guy's name? I think it was Belichick. So I don't know how it turned out.
Billy boy.
I don't know how it turned out for Belichick. But the good news is for the Browns, the last time you had this kind of record, the season didn't end well, and your team left for Baltimore. So at least we know one thing. Win or lose this weekend, the Browns will be back in Cleveland on Monday. So the good news is there's no chance of your team moving this season. But like I said, remember last week, Cleveland Browns, David Turner, who's not here making any picks. You know why? Because his Colts lost. That's why he's not here making any picks. And Ric Serritella said you were going down to the Colts. They're saying it again, Browns. Put that up on the board. Tap that on the way out. Let's go get a victory against the Steelers.
Ain't happening. And I will say with the Cleveland Browns move, strange things can happen in the middle of the night. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we had a lot of fun here on the state of football, chopping it up, breaking it down. These hours of power just go by so fast. Of course, we can't thank Big Law, Lawrence Johnson from 7 City Shop Talk to join us here on the Football Friday preview. What do you got going on? Did I see you taking a week off this week, Lawrence? What's going on here?
Yeah, man, just some things happening, and I'll talk to you, what I got going on. But yeah, man, just some things happening. I'm trying to, keep some things together. But it's still rocking. Football season's here, so I'm here. But you can catch me anytime. Just go on Facebook. You can catch me. Look for my name, Lawrence Johnson. Also, you can look for 7 City Shop Talk. Get all of our content there, and we're just gonna keep this thing rocking.
Yeah, we were tuned into to the hotel show last week. We saw you out there, so keep it moving, keep it grooving. We appreciate you hopping on and all the good stuff that you're doing down there. Of course, I'll save my ribbing for the Boston College game for you next Friday. And, of course, John, you'll be back with me on Monday. I'll see you tomorrow on the NFL Draft Tailgate Show, but I'll see you on Monday to rub in my Pittsburgh Steelers reservations for 6 after Bud Dupree and TJ Watt get washed their hands of the Browns. But parting shot here to wrap things up.
Well, I'll see you. Look forward to talking tomorrow, a bunch of college football, and actually excited that Tulane is actually open for business this evening, not to the fans, unfortunately, and to the students, but it is to the media and the scouts. So I'll look forward to actually getting to watch a game in person, even if it is only a 15-minute drive from the house. Anytime you get to go watch a game in person will be fun, and it'll be fun to see who's out there and who's watching. There were a number of teams finally getting out on the road the last couple of weeks, so it'll be interesting to see who's downtown this evening. And a very interesting game if you want to jump in and watch. Tulane's playing a freshman quarterback. They have a pretty good couple of pass rushers. Patrick Johnson and Cameron Samples, and going against Shane Buechele, not Steve Buechele. Don't sign up your fantasy football second or third baseman. You actually got a fantasy football quarterback in Shane Buechele, who right now has an undefeated team. So if you're a fan of Texas football, you're not getting much out of A&M, and you're not getting much out of the Longhorns, but you do have SMU at 4-0 facing a Tulane team on Friday Night Football. So that'll be interesting to tune in and watch. And then I guess we get the doubleheader, right? BYU comes on after that against Houston. So back-to-back
2 great games.
Watch, a senior in Shane Buechele and then an underclassman in Travis Wilson. And I'm sure we'll talk about the results of that tomorrow.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about it. Good to see Tulane in action. Of course, I know you're talking to the folks at McNeese State and just all the damage that was done down there in the Gulf Coast region due to the Hurricane Delta. It's a shame. I haven't heard a peep out of the news or social media. They don't talk about it or promote it. It's like, everybody's so focused on the election. But, we here at the NFL Draft Bible do pay attention. We do recognize there's a lot of people in need. And that's why 50% of all of our sales are being donated to the Red Cross Hurricane Delta Relief. We mean it. Go online, subscribe All Access, get the insider information that we do at the NFL Draft Bible. We're on location across the nation. You'll get the hard copy book, the PDF, our good friend Neil Stratton of Inside the League, Scout Speak book. And then, again, we're going to be donating to a great cause. So please get online, subscribe today. While you're there, sign up for Friday Night Scout School if you want to break down some wide receivers tonight with David Turner and Ryan Roberts. Of course, we got the defensive line seminar with Brian Baldinger over there at the NFL Network on October 28th. Not too late to sign up for that. We've got some real treats coming up in November that I'm going to be explaining to you, but we've got to get through October And the Cleveland Browns got to get through the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of rivers to get through there in Pittsburgh. I don't know if they're going to swim their way out of it, but we will find out this week in another jam-packed action. Balls to the wall, college football, NFL. Can't stop, won't stop. We'll catch you tomorrow on the NFL Draft Tailgate Show, 10 a.m. Eastern.